Hi my angels, it's Hailey, Reese, and I hope that you guys are having a fantastic morning, afternoon, night, whatever it is for you when today's video finally reaches you. Today's video, you guys, is one that I have been meaning to make since I started my channel. You guys know that I am a sucker for talking about some spooky, creepy dolls and all things that are meant to be innocent that turn freaky, and today's video is no exception. For today's video, we're going to be diving into and talking about Furbies and the terrifying truth behind them. Once we dive into exactly what Furbies are, for those of you who may not know, and the general vibe of them, the general experience with them, I'm going to share with you guys a story of my Furby that I had as a kid that traumatized and terrified my family. I'm not exaggerating. I am not making this up. This is the truth. All my friends know it. I've talked about this a billion times off of YouTube. I don't know about you guys, but ever since my experience with my Furby as a little girl, I've always wondered if other people had terrifying experiences or unsettling experiences with their Furbies. And upon diving into research on Furbies as a whole, I've got a whole lot of information to share with you guys, and then I'm going to tell you guys my story. But before we do so, I just very quickly want to let you guys know that if you're new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my videos, I would really love it if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on your post notification bell, because I am home every day, all day, for the foreseeable future, and all I'm going to be doing is creating content for you guys. So I'd really love it if you enjoy my videos, you click that bell and hang out with me every single day forever. And without further ado, let's dive right on into today's video. So Furbies are a toy created for children in the 90s, and I feel like pretty much everybody has heard of, known of, or had a Furby. Whether you loved it or hated it, it was a very popular toy. You know what's interesting, you guys, is I actually didn't know this before I researched into Furbies, but Furbies were actually inspired by an earlier 90s era electronic pet, the Tamagotchi, which, don't even get me started on the Tamagotchi. I loved my Tamagotchi. Like, I made my grandma babysit my Tamagotchi while I was in school so that it wouldn't die, and I got to the oldest generation of Tamagotchis that you could. I took my Tamagotchis very seriously, but I had no idea that the Furby was actually inspired by the Tamagotchi. So at a Toy Fair trade show in early 1997 in New York, what would be the creators of the Furby saw the Tamagotchi in action for the first time, and while it was undeniably a really phenomenal idea, they felt as though there was something lacking with that. As cool as they thought the Tamagotchi was, they realized that you couldn't pet a Tamagotchi. It was totally electronic. So they set out to create an actual physical version of something like this that you could pet, feed, put to sleep, all that jazz. The working name for the toy was actually a furball, not a Furby, as it would later become. According to Time, in 1998, 1.8 million Furbies were sold, which would skyrocket in 1999 to 14 million Furbies being sold. And as we've seen with toys at this time as well, while Furbies initially costed under $40, there was such a demand for them that resellers were selling them for hundreds of dollars. Like, there was such a demand for Furbies. It's kind of like Cabbage Patch dolls. My grandma said that back in the day, I also had Cabbage Patch dolls, but back before my time, Cabbage Patch dolls were sold for like outrageous prices too, because there was such a demand. Supply and demand. In 1999, Furbies were a massive hit, but Furbies were also being banned from office spaces, you guys. The reason being is that at the time, commercials were advertising Furbies as learning English over time, and people feared that Furbies had internal recording devices that would spill their secrets or record their secrets. So nobody wanted them in office spaces or anywhere where they were discussing things in private for that matter. It even got to a point where if somebody came across a Furby in certain office spaces, they would literally have to contact security to discuss their further actions. So people were really, really afraid of Furbies beyond even just like creepy things happening with the Furby itself. The fact that they thought that Furbies were recording internally all of their conversations and stuff to learn English was unsettling to them. But they were far off, and Furbies did not have any internal recording devices, nor were they actually learning English over time. They were pre-programmed to, over time, learn English and Furbish. Is that what it was called? Yes, it was in fact Furbish. So it wasn't an actual threat. And it was said that the Furbies were not actually recording conversations and learning that over time. They even ended up issuing a statement, you guys, claiming that Furbies were not spies and that Furbies were just toys. But like most toys that have a great deal of hype over time, the Furby kind of lessened in popularity. And even though in 2005 an updated version of the Furby launched, it sold poorly, and by 2007 Furbies were kind of a thing of the past. You didn't really see Furbies on shelves, and everybody just kind of moved on to other toys. What was interesting was that people began to realize that the very thing that made the toy so cool initially also very well could have been the downfall of the toy itself, and that was the fact that it almost seemed alive. It acted as though it was alive. A lot of other creepy things were happening, which we are getting to, but overall, people had a very unsettling feeling about it. So while that was very cool, it was like they had this toy that was real. It was like they had this toy that was real. And that was unsettling to a lot of people. There were a lot of people who had very unsettling and creepy experiences with their Furbies. Some people claimed that when they would put their Furbies in the closets to go to sleep for the night, all throughout the night it would squeak and scream for them to feed their Furby, even though it was supposed to be a toy that would go to sleep and be quiet. And on top of that, some people even said that when they took the batteries out of their Furbies, they still squawked and squeaked and spoke, which just didn't make any sense. Some people claimed that their Furbies would at times talk in a backwards, demonic-like voice that just wasn't any part of what the toy was advertised to be. And enough people had this experience that they would kind of band together and say that their Furbies were speaking in tongue, which is just not fun for a kid's toy, or in general. Several years later, they actually attempted to reboot the Furby with new capabilities in order to kind of revamp and resell these new Furbies in hopes to get back out there, and this became all the more frightening as well. The initial Furbies could alter their personalities briefly based off of how you were treating the Furby, but overall you had a calm, kind toy. Even if you abandoned it or left it, it ultimately wanted to be fed, so it would squawk and squeak to be fed and taken care of, but it was still a kind kid's toy. These new Furbies, however, were a completely different situation. It was said that based on how you treated your Furby, over time it could morph and change into a angry Furby. Some parents said that their kids' Furbies would get so angry it would turn into this angry male voice, and they would have to reset the Furby to get it back to its initial personality, but it could still morph and change over time based on how it felt it was being treated. A spokesperson said that this issue was just because the Furby was able to have different personalities based off how the child was treating it, but parents argued and said that while their child gave them plenty of attention, because that was a big thing. They said that it was all about attention. So if the child wasn't giving the Furby enough attention, its personality would become a little angrier. But parents said that their kids were giving their Furbies plenty of attention, and yet still, the Furby was turning into this angry Furby, and they were not happy about it. And in 2016, they came out with yet another Furby called the Furby Connect. This one was app compatible and encompassed a whole world for your Furby to interact in, and most importantly, did not have the Furby change personalities based off how it felt it was being treated, as that didn't age well before. So a lot of people had pretty freaky, terrifying, uncomfortable experiences with Furbies. And this is where my story comes into play now. The reason I told you guys that whole entire spiel is because lots of people had interesting experiences with Furbies, and Furbies as a whole had quite the journey to get where they are now. But I actually had a very personal experience, or more specifically, Mama Reese had a more personal experience with Furbies that just gives me chills whenever I think about it. As an adult now, I don't have kids, but I just feel like if my kid had a toy that did what my mom says that my toy did, I would be losing it. So, basically, you guys, I was born in 1996. I don't know what year I got a Furby, but I definitely had one early on. And I thought Furbies were super cool. I specifically remember when I think about my Furby, how the eyes would like really blink, like it was like a long blink, and I thought it was so cool that it was almost as though it was alive. And from my recollection, my Furby would do all of the normal things. But at some point, my Furby started saying my name, which Furbies weren't supposed to do. Like, Furbies were not supposed to say your names. As I just told you guys in that whole spiel of what Furbies were meant to do, they weren't supposed to actually learn English over time. They were supposed to be pre-programmed with words so that to you and in your eyes, over time, your Furby is learning words, but the Furby was meant to learn those words already. And my Furby started repeating my name. Feed me, Hailey, blah, 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 Hailey. And at first, my mom didn't really realize what was going on, but eventually she's like, wait. It's saying Hailey. And upon her research, she realized that Furbies aren't supposed to learn your name. My Furby was not supposed to learn my name. So this really extra freaked her out. At one point in the middle of the night, my Furby kept on saying my name, and my mom decided that she was just gonna pull the batteries out of it because it was freaking her out. She didn't want the toy to keep functioning, and she was just gonna like put it away in the closet, much like what it sounds like lots of other people did. And so she pulled the batteries out of my Furby and put it in the closet, and my Furby kept going. Squeaking, squawking, doing its thing, which just made zero sense. So she took my Furby, she threw it out in the trash, got rid of it, and what was even eerier was a couple days later, we're at my grandparents' house, the haunted one, but that's besides the point, not asides the point. Do you guys ever like go to say one word and you accidentally combine two? In my brain, I thought that's besides the point and that's aside the point, and I just made that's besides the point. Anyways, she saw me playing with my Furby. She tells my grandma, where did Hailey get that? My grandma goes, that's Hailey's Furby. And my mom's like, I threw Hailey's Furby out. And to this day, nobody knows how in the heck I wound back up with that Furby. But needless to say, she disposed of the Furby. And going forward, we never saw or heard from that Furby again. But what's super eerie is the fact that upon doing research on this, so many people had a similar experience where when the batteries were out, their Furbies were still going. Their Furbies were learning phrases and words and saying things that they weren't pre-programmed or shouldn't have been pre-programmed to say, like my name. And my mom for so long thought that my Furby was haunted, but now that I think about it and I kind of like put it all into perspective upon doing research, I wonder if there was something deeper or darker going on with Furbies as a whole. So I want to ask you guys, did you have a Furby? Did you know somebody who had a Furby? And what was your experience with it? What do you guys think of this whole entire Furby thing? Please comment down below and let me know. And overall, that is it for today's video. That is the spooky truth, reality, and experiences to do with Furbies. I don't know. If my kids' toys started learning their name, I don't have kids by the way, but if I did and it started learning their name and it wasn't supposed to, I'd have thrown it in the trash too. And if it turned back up again, I'd be losing it. Well, you guys, that is it for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything else you guys want to see me dive on into. Like I said, I am in my house all the time, 24/7, 7 days a week, and I'm just gonna be making videos for you guys. So if you guys have any video requests, please let me know in the comments below. And that is it for today's video. If you guys are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed, but you do enjoy my videos, please click that subscribe button, and please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you guys.